Welcome to Comics Relics. I'm Ray Mescalado, and last time I introduced you to my interactive review of Astonishing X-Men by John Cassaday and Joss Whedon. Today we're going to do, a bonus video where we're going to look at some of my personal favorites from the series. John Cassaday's passing was a huge tragedy for the comics industry. And I want to look closer at just what made him such an extraordinary artist and why his work on Astonishing X-Men is so beloved. Right off the bat, we have this 2-page splash from the end of the first issue. Cyclops telling his new group that they're going to astonish the world. It's a great shot. The body language is perfect. It's just impeccable. Takes your breath away. There is so much to love here. The fight scenes, the dramatic scenes, and look at this wonderful cover. Number 3 may be the best cover of them all. And coming up is the first scene that really sticks with me. Beast and Logan are fighting over the fact that Beast is actually looking at the cure for mutants. And of course the fight gets out of hand. They're breaking walls. The students end up watching this fight happening. And one of the students says, "So what? The teachers spent all their time here trying to kill each other? This place is so cool." And it's a stupid joke, but quite frankly, Astonishing X-Men is pretty good at pulling off stupid jokes. Astonishing was also great though at the dramatic moments. And again, Cassaday is what pulls it off. Here we see Peter back from the dead, looming over Kitty. This splash page is just perfect. It captures the size and strength of Colossus and poor Kitty right there, caught unaware. And then we see him running. The bullets are going through her, cause of course, and they're bouncing off him, cause of course. And he runs right through her to continue fighting, and she's still staring at him in shock. And after he passes through her, he touches her heart, and I would say it's one of the most powerful, one of the most memorable moments in X-Men history because of those details. And then there's Peter's reaction to seeing Kitty is just heartbreaking in and of itself. And then we cut later, and we have this wonderful dialogue between Kitty and Peter. You know, they've been at this. People have come back from the dead. People have claimed to be back from the dead, and we're not that person. So Peter coming back isn't immediately good news to her. She's just trying to process what's going on. And so we have Kitty say this: "You died. Peter Rasputin died, and I know this because I carried his ashes to Russia and scattered them myself." And Peter looks up to her and says, "You did?" Then he pauses and looks down and looks up again and says, "Thank you." And again, just that detail. And of course, there's this scene that any old-time fan would love. Colossus saying no, he doesn't get away. Logan says, "You feeling rested up, Petey?" And he just says, "I am strong." And then Logan says, "Then I got just 2 words for you, bub." And of course, the 2-page splash that follows is the fastball special. I love the fastball special. It's a move that's become iconic for the X-Men. And here we see Logan not being tossed across a room, but being thrown into the sky towards a spaceship. The look on Wolverine's face, Peter still in mid-throw down on the ground. It is the best depiction of a fastball special ever. And again, speaking of jokes, this is my favorite joke of all, okay? First off, the X-Men are being sent to take care of a kaiju. Colossus is standing on the top of his ride, and there's this tension because the team's changed now that he's back in. And Kitty and Peter are wondering about each other. We get these 3 internal monologues as they're fighting this kaiju. Peter: "It's strange to hear Scott in my head. He is different, not just from the professor. He is more free. Why does that word unsettle me? I am riding a monster's nostrils. I really should concentrate. And then we get to Kitty doing her thing, saving people. And she's lost in thought too. I scared him. Came on too strong. What a dope. It means something that I found you. But doesn't it? The X-Men didn't find him. I did. I could never explain what that felt like. I just know the feeling hasn't gone away. I probably should concentrate here. And finally we get to Wolverine doing his thing, slicing up the kaiju, getting smashed against a building, still fighting. And all we get for him as far as what he's thinking is, I really like beer. And yes, it's a stupid joke. It reduces him to a caricature in my less forgiving moments. But the build-up is perfect, and in a weird way, it does sum up who Wolverine is. And all of it, from the way the kaiju is depicted, the action scenes, all of it makes it work wonderfully for that payoff with Wolverine. There's a lot of other finer details as we go forward, but I'm just going to skip to the pair of scenes towards the end that really stick with me also. We're getting to know Hisako as a student, with her ability to armor up, how she's actually pretty good in a fight. We see her at one point complaining in Japanese and Logan responding, because of course he knows Japanese. And by pure happenstance, she's part of the group that fights, ends up into space, and in that way becomes an X-Men. Oh, by the way, here's another great scene I love. Abigail Brand trying to talk Kitty down from threatening her. And Brand says, "This kid's not a killer." Kitty says, "You have no idea who I am." Gonna put a bullet in my head? For starters. And that gun right through Brand's head just tells you all you need to know. And it is a ridiculously badass moment, I have to admit. Anyway, Hisako. She's put into costume. She's wearing one of Kitty's costumes, actually. And when they crash on the world, she and Logan are together still, student and teacher. And he's all burned up and he's healing. And she's going through her insecurities here. And she says, "I have a test on Wednesday. I'm not an X-Men. I can't. I have a chemistry test." Logan says, "Take off the suit." Hisako says, "That's not really an option. You want to cry my bubbling skinless shoulder? You're in that suit because you're an X-Men. You're an X-Men because I seen you fight and I want you on the team. But if I'm wrong, if you're just a whining teenager gonna freak out on a hostile alien planet and cost me time, then lose the suit and go die. We got worlds to save." And there's this wordless panel where you see Hisako find it in herself to be an X-Men. And then she simply says, "Armor." And Wolverine says, "Armor, huh? Is it taken?" "I don't think so. It'll work for a name." Kinda on the nose. Well, it gets to the point. Yeah, it's very direct. I'm thinking of calling myself Claws. Not Stench. Shut up and let me heal. So they had this dramatic moment. They ended it with a fun joke. And that's all well and good. And then at the very end of the story, Kitty has sacrificed herself. And Wolverine is very much in mourning in his own way. That is, he's getting drunk. And Hisako goes up to him and says, "Can I help?" And he says, "Are you a beer?" All our crap, how did it fall on her shoulders? Her and Pete, they were like two, and Armor punches him. And she says, "I'm sorry, you're about to become poetic, and I thought we'd both prefer you didn't. Kid, you want to grieve, and I need to train. I can pierce that armor, kid. You can try." And that scene always stuck with me because it's like the X-Men have no time to grieve. They have to be ready. They have to fight. And I see now more than ever that with Cassaday passing, I understand that you can grieve, but you have to go on. And that's what Hisako is reminding Logan. You can grieve, and you can honor the memory of Kitty by doing what you do best. And there is a lot more with Astonishing. I mean, visually, Cassaday just worked every page wonderfully. I'll be honest, I do happen to like Planetary a whole lot more than his work on Astonishing X-Men, but it was astonishing that I was actually looking through and rereading when I heard about Cassaday passing. And so the power of this comic in particular began to stand out even more for me. The dramatic moments became that much more dramatically meaningful. The funny moments made me want to laugh even more, because it felt good to laugh even as we're thinking of what this world lost. Definitely, Astonishing X-Men is a part of Cassaday's legacy, a major part of its legacy, and for good reason, I think. He does so much with it, and it's just astonishing, I guess. So, for Comics Relics, rest in peace, John Cassaday. You will always be remembered and loved. I'm Ray Mescalado. Have a good day. Goodbye.